Hi, my name is Rachel Paxton, and today I'm going to show you how to make Mountain Dew jelly. I know this sounds a little weird, maybe you've never heard of this before, but this is something that's really fun. You have to try it at least once. It doesn't taste like you think it's going to taste. It doesn't actually taste like Mountain Dew at all. It kind of tastes, it has like a lemon flavor. It tastes kind of like lemon jelly, but this is a novelty thing. It's not something you'll probably do all the time, but it's a fun thing to give to people for Christmas or to sell at Christmas bazaars. What will you get out of this class? You will learn how to make Mountain Dew jelly. I will lead you through the process step by step. I will give you the recipe and canning supply list that you can download and print out later, and you will also gain the confidence you need to try more jam and jelly recipes on your own. My name is Rachel Paxton, and I'm a freelance writer and a mom of 5 children ages 28 to 6. In this picture you'll see my husband and I, and this is my husband Dave. We've been married for 20 years, and these are 3 of my children. Zachary and Christian are almost 11 and they're twins, and Trenton is 6. We also have a 28-year-old daughter and a 26-year-old daughter. I'm also the owner of CreativeHomemaking.com, and I've been canning for more than 20 years. For this recipe, you will need 3 1/4 cups of Mountain Dew soda, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 4 1/2 cups of sugar, 1 package or 6 tablespoons of powdered pectin, and 1/4 teaspoon of butter. This is what the ingredients look like. I use a bulk jar of pectin. If you're buying a box, the small boxes have the exact amount you need, but if you're using a bulk amount like in this picture, you're going to need 6 tablespoons of powdered pectin, which is the same as what's in a small box. You're also going to need a boiling water canner and a canning rack if you're using your own stock pot, a jar lifter, and a wide mouth funnel. These items are all included on a supply list that's in your course materials that you can download and print out. This is what a boiling water canner looks like. This is the canning rack that goes in the bottom of the pot. If you want to use your own large stock pot, you can use a canning rack in the bottom of it. The canning rack is to keep the jars from sitting on the bottom of the pan and breaking. You can buy this canning rack for about $10, but if you don't have any equipment and you'd like to get a setup, it's only about $32 to buy the complete set of the pan, the canning rack, and also your jar lifter and your funnel all come together in a kit. You can get all that on Amazon. That's also included on your supply list. This is what the jar lifter looks like. The wide mouth funnel. You want to get a wide mouth funnel for canning. The regular funnels won't sit in your jars and they will tip your jars over. These ones sit in your jars nicely when you're ladling your food in your jars. The first thing you need to do is sterilize your jars, rings, and lids in the dishwasher. You're going to need I think this recipe makes about 2 pints of jelly. I used half pints and it made 5 half pints of jelly, or 5 1/2 actually, so it'll make 2 to 3 pints. You want to put the jars in the dishwasher to sterilize them. The lids you can't reuse. If you're reusing jars and the rings, that's fine, but if you need to buy new lids every time that you make jam or jelly. You want to fill your canner about 3/4 full with water and start it boiling on the stove. This recipe goes awfully fast, so you want to have your water heating up before you get started. And same with sterilizing your jars. You need a large stock pot to boil your jelly in. You combine the Mountain Dew and the lemon juice in a large stock pot, and you just sprinkle the pectin on top of the juice mixture and use a whisk to mix it together. You want to stir until it is boiling, and you want it to be boiling so that the mixture cannot be stirred down. So what that means is that when it starts boiling, if you stir it and it stops boiling, then you need to let it keep boiling until it doesn't stop boiling when you stir it. And once that happens, you want to set your timer for 1 minute. Next, you want to put a 1/4 teaspoon of butter in. Your jelly will get foam on the top of it if you don't put butter in it, and the butter will help keep the foaming down. It won't eliminate it, but it will give you less foam. So just place that in your jelly and let it come to a boil again. Next, you want to put the sugar in all at one time. It's easy to think that you're not going to lose count when you're putting cups of sugar in something, but it's very easy to lose count, and it's better to have it all measured ahead of time and pour it all in at one time. Stir it until the sugar's dissolved, and then return the mixture to a boil and boil again for 1 minute. Next, you want to remove the jelly from the stove, and you want to use a metal spoon to gently skim the foam off the top of it. Next, you want to use your ladle to ladle the jelly into your hot sterilized jars. You want to leave a 1/4 inch headspace. The headspace is the amount of space between the top of your jelly and the top of your jar, and this is very important because when you process jars in boiling water, the mixture in your jar is going to expand, and if you don't leave enough headspace, the jar can explode, and so of course you don't want that to happen. Jellies and jams don't need very much headspace. You're going to have more headspace when you're pressure canning. So in this recipe, you only need a 1/4 inch. Next, you want to wipe the rims of the jars with a damp paper towel or a dish towel. This is so that you'll get a good seal on your jars. If you leave any drippings or anything like that on the tops of your jars, your lids won't seal. So you want to wipe them off and put your lids and rings on the jar. You want to screw the rings on until they're finger tight. They don't need to be super tight, just finger tight. Place your jars in the boiling water. The water doesn't have to be completely boiling when you put the jars in, but the water does need to be boiling before you set your timer. So after the water starts boiling, set your timer for 10 minutes. If you live over 1,000 feet in elevation, you're going to need to adjust your processing time. There is a chart included with your course materials that tells what the processing times are according to your elevation. So if you live at elevation 1,000 feet or below, then you'll want to process for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes is up, use your jar lifter to remove the jars from the counter. Set the jars on a towel on the counter to cool for at least 12 hours. When the jars seal, you should hear a pinging noise. You don't want to move the jars around while the jelly is gelling. The jelly will be very liquid still when you take it out of the counter, even more so than when you put it in because you just heated it up. It takes a while for the jelly to set, so just let it sit and just check to see if the jars have sealed. The way that you check if it is sealed, you put your finger in the middle of the lid, and if you can press down on it and it pops back up again, then the jar is not sealed. So the jar shouldn't give when you push down on it. It should be totally flat. If you have a jar that doesn't seal, you can put it in the refrigerator and still eat it, and if it is sealed, you can put it in a dark, cool area for 1 to 2 years or more. And that's it. That's how you make Mountain Dew jelly. Like I said, this is a really fun recipe to try at least once. Kids really like it, and you can actually use this recipe to make other kinds of jelly. If you want to substitute Dr. Pepper or some other kind of soda, you make the recipe the same way. Just substitute the soda of your choice. And I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I will talk to you again soon.